Welcome to Cardinal Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. I'm Trevor Rosenthal, your host today. Katie Wu has allowed me to take over, and for good reason. We have some very special guests. We're talking to not only myself, but two other Cardinals closers, Cardinals legends, as I would like to call us. There's no more badass position on a baseball team than the closer. I mean, let's just be real. We see in today's age, we see Ryan Helsley coming in, the lights go off, the music gets cranked up, and it's just the most exciting time of the game. When the closer comes into the game, we know that our team is about to win, and we're looking for the electric stuff. We're looking to get that lights out performance, and then go shake hands. So this is going to be a really special episode. Specifically for me, I mean, these are two guys that I really looked up to, that I continue to enjoy watch play. So yeah, let's enter into this conversation. I'd like to introduce first and foremost current Cardinals roving pitching instructor and former Cardinal closer who set a bunch of records, St. Louis native Isringhausen, and then also we have the current Cardinal closer Ryan Helsley. Jason, how are you doing today?
Good, bud. How are you? It's good to see everybody here.
Yeah, good to be here. How's Mr. Helsley? How we doing? How's spring training going? How you feeling?
I've been doing good. Excited to get back out there and get the games and stuff like that, and kind of get brought up to speed. And this time of year is always fun. You can work on some new stuff and tinker with some things here and there before you get into the games that matter. So it's been good. Body's feeling good. Glad the games have started, and we'll be back to St. Louis here shortly.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I mean, we all have experience coming in the ninth inning, which is exhilarating. One thing that I feel like we all have in common, and most relievers have in common, is that we're all failed starters. I wanted to be a starting pitcher, and that didn't work out. So I ended up getting into the bullpen and then the relief role. But for me, like, it was always the competitive nature of just wanting to be the best, of being in the bullpen and not really thinking about myself as a seventh, eighth, or ninth inning guy, but just going out and wanting to do the best job I possibly could. And then that kind of filtered me down to being in the ninth inning through my performance and through those opportunities coming up and becoming available. So, but Jason, I want to hear from you. Like, kind of what was your experience of how you ended up in the relief role? Maybe what were some of the things that helped you to really excel in that role?
Well, when I got drafted in '92, showing my age here, but yeah, I started through the minor leagues in the first 3 years of my big league career, and then had Tommy John, and just my elbow wasn't bouncing back like normal. So after about 60 pitches, it was kind of feeling jello-y. So they moved me into the long relief role. That would have been in '99, and then at that time I got traded to Oakland, and Billy Bean is the general manager there. And as soon as I got there, he said I was going to be closing for him. So it's just I sat in the bullpen with an old veteran, Doug Jones, and he explained all the nuances of closing to me. And I finished that year with like 9 saves, and then we made the playoffs. And then my first save opportunity in the playoffs was in Yankee Stadium. So it's that story was, I'm out there trying to. I think I walked the first guy, and the catcher come out, Ramon Hernandez, and Jambi comes over the mound, and I can't feel my legs. I was so nervous, just scared to death. At the Yankee Stadium, the Owen feels like the crowd is right on top of you, and so that was a learning process for me. Was just settling down the jitters, putting that fear of failure into adrenaline. But I say you said failed starters. I'm saying injured starters. How about that? More or less. But yeah, I mean that was my whole thing, and then I had to relearn my process of getting ready. Being like I always tell our kids now, our best ability is our availability, right? So trying to cut down on my throws during the day and just making sure I was ready to go every night. Every night, it was my biggest adjustment.
Oh, very nice. Helsley, what about you, man? Jason mentioned his, he remembered very specifically the first time he had an opportunity to get a save. Do you remember the first time that you had the opportunity to come in and close it out?
Yeah, I think it was in Pittsburgh in 2020 during COVID, and Yadi was catching, obviously, and I don't remember who I was facing, but he called a fastball inside. I think it was an 0-2 count. And I shook to a slider. I think he fouled it off. Fastball in again, shook, slider. Calls time, walks out, Doesn't say a word to me, grabs the rosin bag, just tosses it up, throws it down, walks back to behind home plate, and he just sits down and, like, gives me one of these, and somehow I threw it, right down the middle, and he fouled it off, thank God. And he just set up inside next pitch, and I threw a fastball in, and the guy struck out looking, and I was like, wow, I guess I'm never going to shake Yachty again, So learned my lesson there the hard way almost. But, I think that was the first time.
That's a cool story. I think we all had the good fortune of working with Mr. Yadier Molina, right? Izzy, you were in the Yadi era also?
Yeah, I guess like 05, I think was his 2005 may have been his rookie year before 2006. He was a rookie behind Mike Matheny. So, I mean, Yadi was, when people tell me to compare the two, I always say Mike was like a robot, did everything, perfect technique, perfect throwing technique, and Yadi was just God-given ability. And he was just an amazing student of the game and just absorbed everything. But yeah, I've had the fortunate of during my Cardinal career of having those two. It was pretty amazing. I wasn't worried about bouncing a 0-2 curveball to either one of them. No.
Yeah, and what always stuck out to me with Yachty was the God-given ability and his extreme work ethic. But I mean, there was no fiercer competitor than Yadier Molina on the baseball field. I mean, you would see it sometimes with his temper with umpires, but being a teammate of his, it really rubbed off. And especially in our role coming in the ninth inning, it's like pinnacle of competition. Like we're either walking off the field a winner or you're walking off the field a loser. Yeah. There's no between. There's not really another role in the game that's like that, where it's so the result of the game, it solely comes down to the closer. And so I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? Is that something? Okay, let me ask this, Jason. For you now, outside of baseball, like post-career, looking back, is there any way that you have been able to scratch that itch? I mean, is there any way that you've been able to replicate that feeling outside of baseball?
No, I mean that when the gate swings open and you're running out there to go the ninth inning, it's hard to replicate that. I mean, the adrenaline flow is something special, and but no, I can't find anything. You try to golf, you try to do things like that. At my age, 50-some years old, I've kind of given up the softball and the basketball and I'm not starting pickleball. I'm not that old yet, so. But no, it's hard to find the itch. I mean, I think that's what I miss. You talk about, I miss the guys and I miss the competition. So that's part of what I don't think that's ever going to leave us as long as we're alive doing what we did. So, I just have to say I miss the competition.
That's great. Yeah, I agree. And one thing that gets me fired up now is watching Helsley come in, and really when I see guys like him come in, I can tell in his warmups, like I can tell those first couple of throws that he makes when he gets on the mound of like, okay, like this guy's got it today. These guys don't stand a chance. He's about to mow him down. And for me, like when I was in the closer role, when I was playing in general. I could feel that. Like for me, it was when I showed up to the park and we went out to play catch before the game. I could tell how my body was feeling, and I would get a sense of like, all right, today's going to be a good day. Hells, I'm interested to hear like how do you think about that? Is there a moment during the game or pregame where you're like, okay, I have my good stuff today?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys well know, there's hardly, there's very few days where you feel at your best being in the closer role. So it's trying to. I just try to figure out a way to get outs every single day. But there's definitely days, like you said, when you feel like, all right, I got a little extra in the tank, or, it just feels a little smoother and easier coming out. But yeah, I think when it all boils down to it, just trying to take it one day at a time and, rolling with the punches. You know how it is. You're the hero one night and you're the zero the next. So it's just, for me, it's like, I do the same warm-up routine every time in the bullpen. I don't really, not that I'm not caring about execution, but I don't put too much stock in it. It's just more about how my body's feeling, and once I get out to the game, it's, just got the narrow focus and just let it rip and see what happens.
Yeah, I think the narrow focus is so important. I think it's, in the closer role, you have to have your blinders on. You have to just think one pitch at a time. You can only be having so many thoughts and not really overcomplicate it, really stick to the fundamentals. There's a lot of correlation to life with that. I think, people that are able to keep focus usually do well in whatever they're trying to perform at. But something, that creeps in being with a team, like an organization like the St. Louis Cardinals. There's so much history. It's such a renowned organization, and for the group of people that we are able to associate with, Jason with having the all-time saves record, with Ryan and I having single season saves records. We're in like a pretty special group, and to me, like, that always like motivated me to want to not just go out and play for myself, but I was representing something bigger. And like, Helsley, I mean, how do you think about that? I mean, in today's game, it's even more different than when I played. It's definitely different from when Jason played. Jason, I don't even know if like Instagram or Twitter was invented
No.
while you were still playing.
We didn't have phones back then, kid, when I first started.
Wow,
So
phones.
that's why we got
Okay.
to have more fun than you guys, because there was no record of anything that we did. So we probably had more fun than you guys, but yeah, it was a different time for sure.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I couldn't imagine not having somebody telling me how bad I am after every single day
Uh-huh.
that I go out and pitch. But I mean, with all that outside kind of like pressure and, hey, like, whether it's good or bad, Hell's like how do you think about that? Like, how are you able to kind of keep yourself grounded, keep yourself focused? You've had some big years, you've had a lot of success, you're playing for a really special organization. Kind of what helps you in this role in particular to stay so focused?
Yeah, honestly, I try to get rid of all my social media, especially during the season. I delete the apps off my phone, and it's cool when you're doing well. Everybody's talking good about you, but all it takes is that one night. Then everybody hates you, and somebody's like Venmo requesting you to pay for their lost bet, or someone's DMing you on Instagram telling you how bad you are, and so I really try not to look into too much of that. And honestly, I think just spending like family time, seeing kind of the bigger picture, getting away from the field and having a break with that, and just trying to be present, being a dad, and being able to separate the two. And I've had a lot of good mentors in St. Louis, and Adam Wainwright and Goldie, and those guys, Kyle Gibson, who've had kids and have played for a long time. So just seeing how calm and cool they are, and honestly, I think the biggest thing for me was like, just seeing how day to day those guys were, not letting stuff like carry over. I think that showed me, if some of the greatest guys I played with are able to, to kind of let it roll off their backs one night to the next, and not carry things over, because as you guys well know, you got to show up, ready to prove it each and every single day. So it's, good or bad, that's kind of the mindset I try to have is, not let stuff carry over, good or bad. You don't have to do it again the next day.
Yeah, I mean, huge credit to you. It's hard to do already, but even harder to do in today's day and age, when not only do you have like the outside distractions and outside influence, but I mean, it's just a lot of pressure, right? Like, you can see other people doing well. We all want to do the best we can. So man, yeah, kudos to you. I mean, it really shows. I know, speak for Jason, we're both impressed with the type of man you are, but we love seeing you go out there and close the ninth, and hope to see you do that a bunch of times this year. So that kind of makes me think, in the role that that you have now with the Cardinals, being a roving instructor, working with all these kids, trying to identify the next Jason Isringhausen or Ryan Helsley, like what are you seeing? What are you seeing with guys that are coming up? Like, I don't know. What are you seeing? What are you looking for? How are you trying to help them?
Well, I mainly, like I said, I've got 2 daughters, and now I've got like 150 sons. So, I mean, I'm following their Twitter accounts. I'm following their Instagram, making sure they're not posting anything dumb or anything like that, So we have that part to deal with. And then we're also trying to figure out what I want to do more than anything is, we have a lot of starters, we have a lot of relievers, and we're trying to, for me, I try to find the kids that aren't afraid to fail. When they do fail, it doesn't look like somebody kicked them in the, what. So, I mean, it's an ongoing process of trying to figure out who the tough ones are. I mean, we always say, the game, it's easy to get to the big leagues. I think in today's game, it's just hard to stay there for a long time, and letting these guys know that, and then trying to teach them proper routines. I mean, they're coming from major colleges major conferences, and they've never even heard of routine. Everybody has held their hand through all these years of they were always told where to be for college. They've got this at this time, this at that time, and now we have to treat them like men. I'm not going to hold their hand, and teaching them the responsibility of what it means to wear the Cardinals, the birds on the bat across their chest, and carry on through the tradition of so many people. I mean, from the Bob Gibsons to the Lou Brocks to the Red Shandies, the Kissels, the Bruce Suitors. I mean, we can go on and on with names, Ozzie and Willie, and it's a tradition. And like you guys were talking about, that fear of my fear was just letting down my teammates, letting down my city, letting down my family. So turning that fear of failure into adrenaline, trying to find the whys with some of these kids. Like, why are you doing this? I mean, is it for money? Is it for women? Is it for what? What are they doing it for? And then trying to take that message and then trying to teach it into a routine and why we do it, and just trying to have these kids navigate through a 6-month long season, not 20 some games in college. It's just, it's a different process, and just getting these kids to buy into what we teach. It's an ongoing process for sure.
That's pretty cool. Like I think about like my why, and it's become a lot clearer to me now. But looking back, like I didn't have another choice. Like I was the kind of like a troublemaker in high school. I was a junior college kid that really narrowed my options by not excelling academically. And once I got drafted, it was like, all right, well, this looks like the really the only path for me. And getting into pro baseball, it was like there was no plan B. And I think that helped me in a lot of ways. But like when you were talking about that, I was thinking of myself of like my why. Like every day that I would show up to the ballpark from rookie ball to when I got to St. Louis in the big leagues was like, hey, I got one shot at this. I better not mess it up. Like there's nothing like the opportunity to be a professional baseball player, to pitch at the highest level. And then, I mean, shucks, like getting the opportunity to be a closer for the St. Louis Cardinals, like, okay, I better figure this out. And you mentioned some really incredible names, and I was fortunate to be around some great mentors. Izzy, you were one of them. I mean, you were around a lot while I was playing, and you were a great influence. But just learning how to go about things the right way, it helped me. It helped me to maximize my why. But I don't know, Hells, what are you thinking? What's a little bit of your why? I mean, you talked about it some. Like you're a Midwestern guy, you're just going to show up and do the best you can and work hard. Is there anything that you kind of add on to that?
Yeah, I think like for me, you said it honestly. It's like you only get one opportunity, and that's the way I try to approach every day. I'm always trying to get better, and that's kind of going back to the guys I've played with, like Yadi and Albert and Arenado and Goldie. It's like talking to them. I know they're hitters, and none of them are pitchers besides Waino, but they're obviously close to being Hall of Famers, all of them, if not already. And I think the common thing was just that they're always trying to get better each and every day. Like it didn't matter what they did yesterday or what kind of start they had last time out. It was always trying to fine tune and always trying to keep that feel and just always working and never being satisfied. And I think it's just trying to make the most of every opportunity that I get, and honestly not living with regrets. I think living with regrets is one of the biggest things in life that can kind of hold us back and give us some of those bad feelings that we don't want to have. But I try to live each and every day not regretting, like, man, I stayed up late playing video games or whatever. Only got 4 hours of sleep last night. We got a 12 o'clock game, and now it's 3-2 in the ninth, and I blew the lead. I was feeling, not quite like myself. It's like all that stuff matters, and it's, you don't really think about that stuff as a kid, but, when you get to the highest level, every little bit makes the biggest difference, at that level, and it's most of it's between the ears. So just trying to figure out ways to, gain that edge and, to stay sharp. It's hard. Like you guys said, it's such a long season, and it's hard to adjust to that. And, you're getting the best in the world day in and day out, and everybody's trying to win. So, I mean, it's a grind, and you just, I just try to give my best every day.
Okay. So I got to follow up on that. What do you think gives you like the biggest competitive edge mentally in the game?
I think just competing with myself, honestly, like trying to get more out of myself and pushing me, I think, when I'm bad or not at my best, I'm thinking about, who I might be facing that night. Or, if last year Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, a 1-2 punch, it's like, oh, that's a tall task for anybody in the game, but when I'm at my best, it's like it doesn't matter who's in the box. I'm kind of got that, like you said, those blinders on and that mentality that as a pitcher, you're your best when you're attacking guys and making them have to swing the bat. So that's kind of what I try to do is just have that attack them attitude, and I'm going to go right at them, and if they're going to get a hit, it might as well be the first pitch. So I'm just going to try to attack them and put the pressure on them.
What about you, Izzy? What do you feel like is your biggest like mental like competitive edge when you were in the role?
I think it was just the competition between me and the hitter. I didn't concentrate too far ahead. I went pitch to pitch, and I was just going to concentrate on executing that pitch. I knew if I executed my pitches, I could get anybody out, but it's changed a lot because of the way the hitters hit now than before. There wasn't a lot of strikeout guys back in the day, so to speak, and making them. All I tried to do was miss the barrels of the bats and keep them in the ballpark. I mean, we were such good defensively. I was doing myself a disservice if I didn't let them put the ball in play, because we had Gold Glovers all around the field. And but yeah, I think my greatest, I always say, short-term memory. I mean, I wasn't worried about whether I did good or bad. I mean, once I took a shower and had a couple cold sodas or whatever it might be, that day was over, and I went on to the next day. And that was no matter if I, threw 9 pitches, struck out 3 guys, or if I gave up the world, it didn't matter. It was just the same mindset every single day.
That's a hard thing to do. I would say the same thing is like, hey, I would joke around like I suffer from short-term memory loss, but that was intentional. It was like I don't want to think too highly of myself. I don't want to think too low of myself either. It was like I'm just going to show up and keep doing what I can do. I also think like what I had, and you guys probably suffer from this too, is like I had an unhealthy amount of self-confidence, and I would tell myself all the time like I would describe it as like humble confidence, where I didn't want to exuberate it. Like I didn't want people to see it. But in my mind, like when I'm on the field, like there's nobody better. Like, and I had to tell myself that because naturally, like it's easy to remember the times I failed, or maybe why I don't feel good that day, or something like that self-doubt that would creep in. But I would always have to, continue to kind of pump myself up. And I would say like that was probably my biggest mental competitive edge is believing like, hey, there's nobody better. I'm going to win every single time. And I could probably think of some guys on the Cardinal roster that I picked that up from. But that's really cool. So let's talk about arsenal, because I feel like each of us has a little bit different arsenal that we're working with. Obviously we're all, talented and to be able to play at the level that we played at. But Izzy, what do you, run us through kind of fastball, breaking ball, changeup. What could we expect from you on your best night?
Well, I was going to have a 4-seam fastball, and then a cutter, and then a big curveball. But before there was, vertical break and all this stuff, we knew what played off of what. So a big curveball, I could throw a fastball up in the zone, and that was before we had all the numbers that said that's where you were supposed to throw it anyway. So we knew what worked. We knew what we had, so we could get people out. And but yeah, it was just a hard fastball that kind of cut a little bit, and then a bigger cutter, and then a big curveball that I could throw. And I got to the point where I could throw my cutter on both sides of the plate, and I would speed up lefties, jamming them, and then dropping backdoor breaking balls to them, and then throw high fastballs up in the zone to get them to swing through it.
Hells, all right. We know you got a big arm. Break it down for us. What are we working with here? What can we expect to see on Ryan Helsley's best night this year?
Yeah, I started my whole minor league career, so I feel like my arsenal's kind of evolved. I was a 4-pitch guy in the minor leagues, and then got to the big leagues and was fastball, like slider / cutter, kind of all in early on in my career. And then the last few years, I've gotten a better feel for my curveball again. And this spring I've actually been messing with like a true cutter again. So I mean, maybe 4 pitches, I don't know. I feel like every offseason guys are always trying to tinker and come to camp with another weapon to get guys out, because these guys are good. Just trying to open up both sides of the plate and give them different looks. But most nights probably going to be heavy fastball slider though. I might dump in a curveball to get guys off the velo a little bit.
Yeah, your stuff's nasty, brother. I don't know if Izzy and I can hang with you on that heat, man. You're a strong dude. I the same as you guys, like coming up as a starter and in the Cardinal system being a starter, it was really like honed in, like preached to us over and over again. Like you got to pound the bottom of the zone, you got to get ground balls, and similar to you, Jason, like I didn't know what induced vertical break meant. Like I didn't know that my fastball had life on it and that I could throw it at the top of the zone. So I really got used to pounding the bottom of the zone. But it had a similar effect where I would get a lot of takes. And so that's how my arsenal like really started to develop is getting ahead at the bottom of the zone, getting that 0-0 take, and then kind of opening it up, right? Like not really changing my sights where I was aiming my fastball. But as I got deeper into counts, as I worked ahead, my fastball would naturally rise up into the top of the zone, even though I was aiming low. And so that's what I felt like my arsenal was kind of based off of the life of my fastball, but also command. Like I took a lot of pride in getting ahead and controlling counts. And so that was really important to me. I'm thinking, so you guys, thinking about being in the bullpen as a closer, was there any, I guess, okay, so at the end of the game, when the game ends, was there any like certain celebration you guys have? Do you keep it cool? Is it like nonchalant, like been there, done that? I've closed out this game a bunch of times, or was there like something special you had with some guys on the team or the catcher? Hells, you go first.
I try to just keep it pretty simple. I've never really been like a flashy guy or trying to make it all about me. I know if we lose the game, it's my fault, but we all won the game, so I just try to give everybody a normal handshake and dap them up, get some high fives and try to get after them again tomorrow.
What about you, Izzy? I know you were out there fist bumping, cartwheeling. What do you got?
Yeah. No, I mean, my whole thing was, I was always a high five and then a punch in the chest of my catcher and then high five everybody. And then I'd always give the ball to a little kid when I was leaving the field. I've got 3 balls on my mantle. It's my 100th, my 200th, and my 300th. So I gave every other one of them away. And so that was kind of my thing. I always made people happy. So, yeah, giving up a game ball was pretty special to the kids.
What a good guy, man.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's just heartwarming. That makes me feel good to hear that. 300 saves. What an incredible feat. Hells, where are you at on your save ticker?
I want to say like mid 80s, maybe in the high 80s, somewhere around there. I'm not too sure.
But you're knocking them out. Like you're getting up there quick, doing 40
if I could have
a
few more years like last year, they'd add up pretty quick. But I mean, you never know. I mean, you've seen guys have 50 saves one year and they only get 25 opportunities the next. I mean, you just never know. You just got to make the most of them when you get them.
That's what makes, to me, like 300 is so impressive. Jason, do you know how many guys are in that club?
There's probably 20 some, I think. There might be more than that now. I don't know. That was at one time, but I mean, when I look at Trevor and Mariano with 600, I'm just like, holy smokes. I mean, they doubled me. And, but you think about it, that's 20 years of 30 saves. I mean, these guys were racking them up left and right. And, Mariano did it with one damn pitch with a cutter, and Trevor had his changeup. I mean, it's just, watching those guys, and that's where I learned my cutter was from Mariano. I wish I would have learned Trevor's changeup, but it was impossible to throw the way he threw it. But yeah, I mean, it's longevity. You look at Hills, it's like 10 years of 30 saves if you put it that way, and it's a milestone that that you never think about it, but as they start racking up, then you're like, because I thought I was going to retire with 297 because I had an elbow surgery and I came back to get 7 more, but I always thought I'd have 7 shy on my boat one day because I was 7 shy of 300. So that was always, but I got to 300 and then I don't even have a boat now. So it's no big deal.
Now you just have 700 kids, 700 sons that you're looking out for.
Yeah. It's like herding cats down here.
Hey, well, I know you're a man for the job. And I say that because being the closer, you're kind of forced into a leadership role. Like, you have the team, but like the bullpen is kind of a unit. It's like a team within a team. And being the closer, I feel like it brings up, like, guys look up to you. Like, okay, like you're our guy. If there's something to be said, you're kind of in a position to say it. And I like that. Like, I liked I want to, obviously we're all competitive. We want to win. We want to get the best out of our group. And I always thought of myself of let's go out here. Let's talk about it. What do we do? What can we do a better job of? Whether it's the running game, whether it's throwing first pitch strikes, let's sit down and let's just have a conversation. Were there any moments like that for you guys in your career where, you viewed this unit of hey, we're a team within a team, and I'm kind of taking responsibility of the direction of this team. I don't know, Jason, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that's totally what I thought my job was. I always took my bullpen out to dinners and stuff like that and hung out with everybody. We had usually my group was pretty tight knit, and we hung out together and we went to dinners together. We had, road sodas together, things like that. We were just always a tight knit group. So we pulled for each other. And, as the ninth inning guy, you're the safety net for everybody else. That's how I always looked at it. So, it was always trying to be big brother to everybody and keep everybody under control, make sure we did the right things all the right way.
What about Hells? What's this crew looking like right now? How has your experience been in kind of that leadership role within the bullpen unit?
Yeah, last year was my first year of, I guess, being the true closer. Every year before that, it was kind of Swiss Army knives, throw the 7th and 8th, one up plus every night. And then, so last year was a fun year for me. Just, it's a lot being locked in every night, but it's also fun having a chance to pitch every day and to contribute that often. But, we have a great group. I'm really excited. We got a lot of guys down there with some good weapons. And we have a few guys that are younger guys that I think that'll obviously make the team. And, I'm excited to see them and see how they compete. And, I think Izzy hit it on the head. I think try to be that leader and, try to take guys out as much as you can. And, just build that bond down there. Like you said, you're a team within a team, and we got each other's backs down there, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you guys could probably attest to it. You're not that you're not watching the game, but you got to kind of joke around a little bit every time down there, because you play 162 games. You're not locked in for all 9 innings most of the time. There's a couple scrambles down there when the phone rings every now and then, but we keep it light, man, and we're competitive, and we got a good group down there, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Hey, with the pitch clock, I mean, things move faster now. You don't have as much time to relax.
Man, you hardly got any time to shake anymore, dude. It's come in and throw 3 warm-up pitches, and you're still out of breath by the time the first guy gets in there.
You got to be in peak physical condition to go out and pitch now. Where do you guys open up this year? Are you guys at home, or you open up on the road?
I think we have Minnesota, and then the Angels, and then we go to Boston for the first road series. I'm not sure where we go after Boston.
Well, you're going to have to take the boys out for dinner. Keep up with the tradition.
Yep.
Yeah, no of that closer role. Well, can't thank you guys enough. Our time flew by, and this is really special for me. You guys are both incredible. Thanks for coming on and having this conversation. I think the fans are really going to enjoy it. So for Jason Isringhausen, Ryan Helsley, Trevor Rosenthal, we're here on Cardinal territory talking closers with Cardinal baseball, but part of the Foul Territory Network. Thanks for tuning in. This is awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll have to do it again soon. Hells, great luck. Best of luck this year, Jason. You gotta find the new one. I mean, who knows if we're gonna have Helsley back next year? So you're gonna have to work on creating that next protege. So
we're working on it.
Appreciate you guys' time today, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, Trev. Thanks, buddy.
Trev. Thank you.